Alrighty, hey guys. Okay, so today we are doing a tutorial on an orc fence. So the way this is going to look, I'm currently working on one right now. So this one has lights in it, but this is essentially how it's going to look. So if you can see that, this is how it'll look. So this is our end result, but that's going to stay there, and I will be showing you as well how to run that lighting. So the first thing you're going to need, skinny pop sticks. This concept will work with regular size pop sticks, but the skinny ones do tend to be a little better because they're obviously more miniaturized. So here's some I prepared earlier. So all I've done is just cut the rounded ends off. Of course, being orcs, they wouldn't be that organized. So this is actually a really easy concept. The first thing we're going to do is lay our little base pieces, these are going to be the support, out. This, if you were actually building a fence, they would be straight and perpendicular to each other, but this is orc territory, so we're not going to make it straight, we're going to make it munted because that's what they would do. Alright, so we're going to get our super glue. Alrighty, and we're going to glue all along here. Now, this wood is actually not like a balsa wood. I think it may be a really thin MDF. But balsa wood is thinner, and it's this stuff. So these are balsa wood. You can see the difference. It's more bendable. It's kind of semi-transparent. This is going to soak up super glue, so you really don't want that. Right, so we've got our glue down. All we're going to do is break these into little pieces, just breaking them up. There is no right or wrong way to do this. For those of you wondering why am I not using hobby glue, it takes too long to dry. And all we're going to do, because again, these are orcs. They don't know anything about building, I'm sure. They're just kind of making it work. We're just going to literally lay them down just like that. Now, one side, which is going to be your bottom of this, okay? So bear with me while I try and explain this. So one side is obviously going to have to be affixed to the board. So that being the case, one side you need to have them relatively in line. The other side, it really doesn't matter. The differences in height, it does not matter. All right, so we're literally just going to lay these down, and they're going to look like almost kind of like a munted ladder, really. Yeah. So if you're worried about the straight edges, don't panic. We're getting to that later. Do not panic. All of this can be cleaned up later. The main thing is just getting it down to start with, to get that structure going and to get that glue drying, and then we can really go to town on it. So you can see I'm not really using any particular pattern here. I'm just kind of going. Do not be afraid of terrain. For those of you that are, don't be afraid. There is nothing to be afraid of. It is actually a shitload easier than it looks. I promise you. I wouldn't lie to you. All right, so I'm just literally putting some stuff in here just to fill in a few gaps. So we're just going to put that in there. This is nothing special. All right, so we have the basic structure of a fence. So what we're going to do next, we have our basic structure. I like to fill in a lot of the gaps to start with because it is actually a lot harder to do it later. Okay, so that's the first part. The next thing we're going to do is stick another layer on. So all I'm going to do is go over the top of the first layer. So you can see there is nothing special about how I'm doing this. There is no secret trick that you have to sacrifice a virgin at midnight. There's none of that. It is literally just go. However you think this looks right, it is right, because this is your artwork. And if you've been to my channel before, then you know that I believe that there is no wrong way to do art. I do love art, of all kinds. I do love art. Terraining is the one I'm best at, I suppose, but I can draw and paint to some extent as well. There's far more better out there than me, but I do what I can. All right, so you can see that we've got our overlay going on here. And the reason that I'm using super glue, I'm sure you guys would know why by now. It's because it dries quick. All right, so we're just gonna give that a second to dry while it's doing its thing. All right. So while that's drying, the next thing that we're going to do, we'll break up some more pieces. The next thing we're going to do is I'll really quickly explain the lighting. Okay, so this is my fence I'm working on now. This is a commission and the customer has asked that it have lighting in it. So bear with me and I'll grab the power pack and then I'll show you how this lighting actually works. So these little lights are really cool. They are just a string light, really simple string light. If you are Australian, I bought them from Red Dot and they were $10. All of the stuff for this project was not expensive. So they come with the string lighting, and then at the end, you've got your little power pack, so you can just plug that in, really simple. Again, no hidden tricks, and then you can just turn it on. So, I don't know if you can actually see that. That is working. Hopefully you can see the flashing. So it has 3 settings: fast, slow, and solid. So these lights are really, really cool. They also come in other colors. I've got a green and a red and quite a few other ones. They're pretty cool. You can also put your wash paints over them to change the color, and it won't hurt them because they do have like a plastic coating. All right. So now that we've explained that, hopefully our glue is a little drier. Let me just move that commission so it doesn't break. Hang on one sec. Otherwise I'm going to have a sad little customer on my hands. All right, so we'll go back to our fence. So as you can see, super glue, nice and dry, nice and quick. Top layer is not the driest, but we're getting there. Put a little bit more on there. But so you can see that we're starting to get something that makes sense. And when I say makes sense, you'll get used to this from me. Make sense means I am a firm believer that if you are going to create art that is realistic, it needs to have a purpose, it needs to have a reasoning to it. Like, it's more than just trying to say, you know, I'm going to stick glue here and grass there or whatever. In my experience, the best terrains look better when you put thought into who are these people, what are they going to be doing, therefore what are they going to need. So, and then it all starts to come together and make a bit more sense. All right, so you can see here, I've gone around, I'm adding another layer, I'm building. The big thing here to remember, I don't go higher than 3 layers. So currently we've got 2, we've got 1, we've got 2. I would go a third, and that would be it. So I would go a third to get, you know, a crosshatch effect or whatever. We'll do it. We're going to do it on camera, so don't panic. But I would do a third, and then I would call that it. And the reason is, with terrains, you are usually on quite limited space, and especially if it's either a board decoration or an army storage, so you're using it for storage for your army when you're not playing them. And when it's that sort of thing, you need floor space on your terrain. So I wouldn't go thicker than 3 just so that it's not taking up too much. But again, it's your terrain, whatever you think looks best. Now, orc fencing, orcs, as we all know, love a good Waagh, which means that they really don't give a shit if their fencing actually does the job, most likely I would say, because they want people to come in to fight. So what I'm doing is you'll notice there's a few gaps. Don't panic, we're going to do the other side. But for those of you panicking and going, oh my God, what's going to happen? Don't stress. We're on to it. Oh, I've just broken my own rule and done more than a third layer. I'm a bad boy. Bad girl, actually. Whoops. I'm used to telling my dogs they're bad boys. No, I am not transgender. No judgment to those who are, but I am not. I'm a real girl. All right, so this is essentially the front of our fence. The next thing we're gonna do, I've just got glue on this, so now we're gonna stick it there. It's gonna be hilarious. But you can actually see this now from the bottom, okay? So if you were going to be running wiring through this, I'll show you roughly how to do it, but I'm not actually going to do it because these lights I would want to use on another project, and they were limited on how much of each color they had, so that kind of sucked. All right, so what you would do, it comes in the pack like that, so it's easy. I would just have it there, and again, glue, glue. So we're pretending we're gluing glue, 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 and so you've got a pattern going throughout the fence. Once that's glued down and it's dry, the next thing I would do is the same process. So I would just break up some more pieces. And so this is glued down, and I would just lay them over, just like so. And again, I would do the same thing. So we would be doing 3 layers over the back. So essentially, this is going to be what you're going to be looking like, but there's going to be that much of the light hidden that it's only going to be small pieces that you'll see, and it's going to twinkle. You don't have to make it twinkle. I prefer to have it on that flashing twinkling effect just because it makes me feel like it's proper lighting. But again, completely optional. The only other thing I would do, so once my lighting is installed and I'm good to go, you have the option before you put your lighting in of painting these. I personally don't. I'm just a person that thinks if there's going to be that much hidden, why bother wasting the paint on it? But in the case of others who like to be absolute perfection, if you do want to go over and paint it, it is easier to paint it as it is now. Put your lighting in, then go and do your second layer, paint again. It is easier, but I don't do it that way because I just don't. So when you're done, this is essentially what your little fence is going to be looking like. If you don't want to do both sides, so if this is just how you want to keep it, that works too. And this concept, this is an orc fence, but this concept works on any kind of fencing. Like if you wanted to do farming fencing, you would just have straight, you know, so you would go straight and there's your fencing. Okay, so like this is really not complicated. I hope that everyone sort of found it to be a little easier, but this is basically a really easy thing to do, and this stuff is great for any kind of fencing. The other thing you can do with this that I think is really cool, you could do like industrial fencing. So you could have like that, and then you could just run wire. I've actually got some here. Of course I do. I've always got everything. All right. So I would literally, I've got my barbed wire. I would literally, of course it would be glued in. It is too. Damn. Oh, hang on. I've got a spare one over there. So I would just grab the barbed wire and literally run it